In this lesson, I will show a complete automated install of Drupal 8. The complete tech stack required will be installed along with Drupal in the same package. Apache Web Server, MySQL Database Server, PHP Language Interpreter, PHP MyAdmin, which is a web interface database administration tool. And after all of these required tools are installed, as a final step, Drupal will be also installed and basic configuration will be done. At the end of this lesson, you will have a fully functional Drupal website which you can use to learn through the course. The very first step that you will want to do is to visit this location and pick up the free installer from this site. Notice this URL https dev.acquia.com/downloads. Acquia is actually a commercial enterprise and some of their products include Drupal enterprise products. But they do have a Mac and a Windows based free installer which you can download and use. You can click on this and start the installation, but to save time, I have already downloaded. So I'm going to launch it now. This is a standard Windows message asking for confirmation, and yes. Again, this is a OS confirmation message. I will say yes. Okay. And so our installer has been launched. Welcome to the desktop installer. Click next to begin. And this complete installation is going to be in a wizard based step-by-step interface. Select components, and these are some extra components. These are optional. Xmail server is basically a optional SMTP server. That's an email server. You can use this to test your incoming outgoing emails from inside Drupal or any other tools that you install. So this is optional. Right now I will just go with it. Click next. And this is the overview screen. Notice what it says. Basically, it's telling you that all of these are going to be installed. The first thing is there is a small tool which is provided by Acquia, and that's going to help you manage multiple Drupal installations. Something absolutely we would like to do for this course. So go with this. The other things are required, absolutely required. That's Apache Web Server, MySQL Database Server, PHP, the language that powers Drupal. And this will install multiple versions of PHP, which I will talk about later also. And finally, PHP MyAdmin. This is an open source web interface that will help you manage your database server. So you need all of this. All of this will be installed. Click next. And this is the license agreement screen. I have gone through the complete license. You should also read it through. And when you are done, accept it. And this option is basically Acquia, the tool that you are going to install, will securely send some diagnostic and usage data back to mothership. I don't want this to happen on my computer. Up to you. I recommend you also remove it and click next. Now these are the locations where the files will be downloaded. There are two of them. One is during this installation, what all products that I mentioned, the location where all of that is going to be installed. The second is the data, the sites that you create, where that will be located. And you can see this will be in a sites slash dev desktop. You can make any changes you want here, but right now I'm just going to go with complete set of defaults. You can also do so. Click next. And this screen is for port settings. Now, what is important to understand from the screen is that this tool has made recommendations to you. 8083 and 8443, 33. When you are installing, these numbers may be same or it may vary. Now, some background about understanding this. A port is basically an interface through which any networking application is going to communicate with the rest of the world. Now, since everything we are doing is TCP IP based, port 80 is the default that Apache web server is going to take. On my computer, I already have a manually installed complete stack running. And on top of it, I am going to do one more complete installation to show you in this lesson. Now, my earlier Apache stack has port 80 blocked and it is the default port. I don't even have to mention this port number. If you choose anything other than port 80, you will, every time you access your site from the browser with a colon and the port number, you have to mention for your site to work. Now, on your own computer, you may have an Apache running like me, or you may have IIS running as a part of the Windows operating system, which will have blocked some port, or you may have some very popular tool like Skype running, which again blocks port 80 by default. You don't want to choose a number inadvertently, which is already blocked by some other application. If that happens, your site is not going to work. Your Apache is not going to work because it will complain that its communication port is blocked. So the bottom line to everything that I'm saying is this application has intelligently found out what port is available and free, and it has made that suggestion to you. Don't make any changes here. Just go with it. And also write down these port numbers in a text file somewhere where you can access it later. So go with this and click next. This is a summary of the information you have provided so far. Everything looks okay to me. Click on next. And now this tool is getting ready to install the complete stack on our computer. Click on next. Okay, we have the success message being shown. It took approximately about 4 minutes or so for that script to run. So far, what has happened is that all the supporting scaffolding technologies have been installed. Drupal has not yet been installed. And after we finish this, that's when it will start. This is a very nice welcome screen from the tool. So there are three options here. Start from scratch. I don't have an existing Drupal site. This is what I'm going to use. If you have an existing Drupal site, that can also be brought inside this tool. That is this second option. I'm not going to use it. Third is basically Acquia Cloud from this company. Basically, this first option is what I want. And here it's going to show you some different options of which Drupal to install. Throughout this course, this is what you should be choosing. That is the official Drupal core files. At the time of doing this video, it's 8.3.2. Slightly earlier versions also I have in earlier lessons, but it's all version 8. So click on the install. Here you can give names for the folders for where the code base is located, your site name and the database name. I recommend that you try to keep the site name and the database name same for ease of management. Now, local site name, always make it simple and easy to remember. Throughout this course, you will be running multiple Drupal installations in the projects. And if you do multiple installations, remember that this has zero load on your testing server. So don't ever worry about that. Just make sure you follow some simple naming conventions that will make it easy for you to remember and quickly access. Let me show you my own naming convention, how I am doing for this course. This is my htdocs, and here you can see that I have two prominent folders, Drupal Xer and Drupal Sandbox. Each one of this is a Drupal installation. Each one is for an exercise project. There will be more coming up later. These are the ones that I show in the lessons. But before showing it in the lesson, I have a Drupal Sandbox version also, and I have equal number of Drupal here. This is where I build my lessons prior to recording it. So you can see I have at least I have about 12 installed on my testing server. The only thing that you have to take care of is the naming convention that you will follow. It has to be something short and easy for you to remember, and it should allow you to go to the right installation that you want immediately. Let me give an example. Drup 832 is the version number and test. Once you have given all of this, go to finish. Okay. And now at this point, the actual downloading of Drupal is happening. Once the completed download happens, this tool will automatically put it in the location that you have chosen. And as a last step, Drupal installation scripts will kick in, using which you can configure the site. So this is going to take a couple of minutes. Fantastic. The bulk of the installation has completed. This tool has given me a link which I can just click and launch the site. Finally, Drupal scripts have started. Choose a language. English is fine with me. Save and continue. This is going to take a while, and all the individual scripts and individual Drupal modules are going to be installed from Drupal core. Typically, it takes about 5 minutes or so on my computer. Okay, so all the modules were installed, and now we are at the configure site screen. Here we have to give a few basic details. First, give the site name. You can always come back and change it later, so don't worry too much about it. Username and a password for the primary user on the site. You better remember the username and the password that you give here, or else you'll not be able to log in later. Regional settings. On my local host, I don't enable notifications. And when you are finally done, hit the save and continue button. And finally, we have welcome message, success message, which means that you have successfully installed Drupal. Congratulations from me also. Now you can proceed with the rest of the course. Let me mention the very best part of doing Acquia's installation is if you click on this plus sign here, you can install one more test installation. Just click on this and you'll repeat the same process. So you'll have multiple Drupal installations that you can manage, which you will need to do this course. The other cautionary thing that I want to mention is when you are doing the installation, remember minimal PHP version requirement. Make sure that you have chosen the right one. If you have taken a lower version of PHP, you're going to get an error. Remember that. Now, one more very important point I just want to mention. Even if you have a manually installed complete Apache stack running on your computer, you can still run this tool and install Drupal once again. Both can be running at the same time, essentially because the port numbers that this application uses and your manual version is going to be different. Let me show you, for example. Now, this is a project that I am building in the course, and this is being served from my manually installed Apache. And this is being served from the Acquia tool that I showed you. There are multiple Apache web servers running on my local computer and it's working perfectly fine. The reason I say this is I will have students who come from my other open source courses and they may have installed Apache already. Don't worry, it's not going to take up any major resources on your computer. It's going to work perfectly fine. My very best congratulations to you on having installed Drupal successfully. Please, as soon as you finish installation, take a screenshot of Drupal that you have installed, paste that screenshot in the Q&A section of this course. It will be a major motivation for me that as a learner you have done it successfully. It will be a major motivation to new learners who are just attempting to do this. It's going to help them. Best of luck with the installation and see you in the next lesson.